Everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and I am here with my brother, and we are here to play Modern Merfolk, the latest iteration, the list that has been tuned for the metagame that has been presented at the Pro Tour. And if you like the most up-to-date list, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Before we get into this list, we're going to thank our sponsor, themanabase.com. Let's not forget all those forgotten artifacts. Go learn about Mirror Enforcer by Michael Shapiro's Modern Musings, only on themanabase.com. Your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And I have many new patrons supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. So I would like to start by thanking Jacob Prieb, who just edited his pledge to a higher level. Thank you very much, Jacob. I'd love to thank Skystrike. Thank you very much to Yanis Van Meurs. Thank you very much to Mihal Borovka. Thank you very much to Regal E. Alexander Norris. Lance Carter. Tim. I'd like to thank Alan Begalo-Watt for increasing their pledge. And that's all. Thank you very much to all of you who support me on Patreon, who support Merfolk. So I had a video going over in detail about this list, and there are a lot of changes that I would like to make to this because, well, I mean, I think this is not the final deck. I went through so many different deck lists to get to this point, and I still think it has some more room to grow. But you know what? We're going to play this list in a league just for you guys to know why any of these cards work the way they do. Maybe a brief introduction to this deck if you didn't see my deck tech over the weekend. Mistcaller. A lot of people said, well, Nikachu, why are you promoting Mistcaller right now? What's up with that? You said Mistcaller wasn't good. And I said Mistcaller wasn't positioned, that we don't need this thing right now. When this thing was spoiled, we didn't need it. There were no Coco decks. There were no graveyard decks. But as you have seen in the Pro Tour, now there are a bunch of these Vengevine decks. Now there are a bunch of Bridge from Below decks. And we could use Mistcaller, even if we aren't trying to exile a Vengevine from the graveyard. At the very least, you can sack Mistcaller at any moment to get rid of the Bridge from Belows. Now, but like, is that enough? Are the graveyard decks enough? Well, I've been playing against a lot of Coco decks online, like tons. Elves, Counters Company, specifically those two. And I think they're trying to take advantage of humans and spirits, because like we have very poor interaction against an infinite turn 3 combo. Humans and spirits can't win by turn 3 or less, but Counters Company can. So I have that in the deck for the Coco decks. When you sacrifice it, they can't Court of Calling, they cannot Collected Company. Sure, you cannot interact with their infinite mana combo if they just have it in their hand, but most of the time they don't have it in their hand. They have to use Collected Company, they have to use Court of Calling, and the Mistcaller trades 1-for-1 for those cards, plus it's an attacker early on in the game. So Mistcaller, very interesting inclusion. Of course, I'm not heavy on 1-drops. I'm not trying to play really fast. I'm trying to catch up. That's what I'm trying to do. This list originally had Naban in it, and Naban was great, and maybe I can still explore Naban. Maybe I can shave a Tidebinder Mage and a Harbinger of the Tides for Naban to fully utilize, extra cards we draw off of Silvergill Adept, extra elementals we get off of Master of Waves, extra tap triggers from Tidebinder Mage. Same thing with Merfolk Trickster, and you can bounce extra creatures with Harbinger of the Tides. But the problem was I used to have 4 Naban in this deck. Did great, but there was a lot of matchups where I didn't have enough power to push through against my opponents. Like, all I had was Lord of Atlantis, Master of the Pearl Triad, and Master of Waves. Just wasn't enough, just falling short a little bit. And of course I've taken out the man lands, so I decided, you know what, Naban is very similar to Phantasmal Image. Let's play with Phantasmal Image because it can copy Master of the Pearl Triad, it can copy Lord of Atlantis. I mean, if you go Naban into Master of Waves, you're getting about the same elementals. You get the same elementals basically as Master of Waves into Phantasmal Image. Also, if you play if you play Naban into Silvergill Adept, you draw 2 cards. If you play Silvergill Adept into Phantasmal Image, you still draw 2 cards. So it's roughly the same stuff, except that if you have a Naban on board, you get acceleration. This is only a one-shot deal. If you have Naban on board, you get double the draw, you get double the elementals, double the bounce, double the tap, all that other stuff. But unfortunately, still not enough stuff to push through. We need to push through with more, we need more beef. So another thing on Fairy Conclave, there's just so much humans, and now Spirits is coming up, that I don't know if it's worth it anymore. That the fact that it comes into play tapped was a big deal. And of course, those stupid Glass Cannon graveyard decks, that's awful. We just cannot slow ourselves down with Fairy Conclave. And the sad thing is that there is still attrition-based decks out there. The control decks are still out there. Not as big, I think, online as they used to, but still pretty big. So there's still a player. There's still a strong player. So we have to respect them. Tidebiner Mage in here help us against burn, but mostly to help us against those Coco decks that I was talking about. I personally was facing a lot of Coco decks. Tidebiner Mage also helps against the Vengevine deck. So, they have a really busted start, and you can tap down their Vengevine on turn 2. Really slow the game down. Like, they really depend on those busted Vengevine starts. And on top of that, the great thing about Phantasmal Image is you can copy any of these things. You can copy Harbinger to bounce their creatures. You can copy Tidebiner Mage to tap down more creatures. So, excellent. Phantasmal Image is excellent in that case. Now, going on to the sideboard, we have 2 Echoing Truths. So, I don't know. I replaced some Echoing Truths with Venser, which ended up being great. Venser was a good card to have against control. You just bounce their sweeper to their hand, specifically Supreme Verdict. And occasionally you can make it enter the battlefield, bounce a permanent. So you can sometimes, if a Teferi's about to ultimate, you can bounce Teferi.
That card is annoying.
Huh?
That card is awful.
What?
Teferi.
Oh, yeah, Teferi is just awful. Awful. Everyone is crying, oh, Jace is too good for Modern. Now no one's playing Jace. They're playing Teferi. And now people are like, well, I don't know. If you said Jace was too good for Modern, and now Jace is basically unplayable, people should be calling for the banning of Teferi. But they're not doing it. Somehow 5-mana Planeswalker, okay, that has to be fair. But you can also bounce Detention Sphere, get all your creatures back. Really versatile card. I really like this card. It really impressed me. And I thought it was a pretty good supplement for taking out 2 Echoing Truths. Grafdigger's Cage, against those Glass Cannon graveyard strategies, you need this thing. Like, you can't play, like, Relic on turn 1 and then crack it on turn 2. That might be too late. Did you see those games with Bridge from Below? They, cast their Hanger Backwalkers and their Walking Ballistas for 0 and get a bunch of zombie creatures in play. It's too late! You need to... Now, Grafdigger's Cage isn't going to prevent Bridge from Below triggers. However, it will prevent anything else from the graveyard entering the battlefield. For example, Gravecrawler, Vengevine, and stuff like that. So you're going to want this thing on turn 1 to shut those decks down. But also, I was looking for a good answer against the Coco decks. Again, just stopping Court of Calling and Collective Company. We can win those grindy games. Kitchen Finks and all those other stupid green creatures, Voice of Resurgence, they're not winning those games, but they're going to win the games where they have an infinite mana combo and spew their hand and search their library for Walking Ballista and then kill us. So Grafdigger's Cage is for that. And Relic is still a good card. I don't want to replace it. It has a really good home in this deck for all those matchups that we normally use it for. Phyrexian Revoker, another card. I don't think... with all these massive changes, I don't think my matchup against Tron is as good as it used to be. In fact, I think it's a lot worse. So I was trying to look for a card that would help me against Tron, but also help me against other matchups like Control and Counters Company. It's really hard to find a card that would meet all these things, and I thought I could find it with Phyrexian Revoker. Against Counters Company, you can name Devoted Druid. Against Tron, you can name any of the Planeswalkers or Oblivion Stone, or even a map if it looks that critical. Against Control, you can name Engineered Explosives, you can name any of the Planeswalkers. It helps a lot. I've named Jace the Mind Sculptor and killed the Jace the Mind Sculptor. Unfortunately, I haven't seen enough play out of this, but when Phyrexian Revoker did hit the battlefield, he's usually been pretty good. And now, for the 15th magical card, Chalice of the Void. This is the card I actually did play in my PPTQ. I know I didn't have it in the video because I didn't have it on me. I actually had to have my brother go find it, go find it in my binder and bring it to me, because I was already out. And he brought the Chalice of the Void, and it did help. It was great. It's just an all around pretty good card. And the nice thing about having a one of Chalice of the Void is that your opponents might overboard thinking, like if they see Chalice of the Void, then they'll be like, well, I gotta side out tons of my one drops, and they'll like super overboard or like change their deck, make it way more clunky just by seeing one Chalice of the Void, because they're gonna assume that you have tons. So having this one Chalice is still somewhat effective. Like I don't want to have too many because I don't know if the metagame's really that great for it, but it's just nice to bring in against Hollow One, against that Vengevine deck, against you can bring it in against KCI Burn. You can bring it in against Jeskai Control. As a one of, it doesn't hurt, and a Tron, for example. So it's like it hits a lot of decks, but I don't want to depend on it too much. Like Infect, it also hits, so it's sort of a nice card. So even though there are adjustments I'd like to make to this deck, like I would really like to take out the Tidebinder Mages, but like I had them in here for the Coco matchups. But I'm wondering if I should just take out the Tidebinder Mages and try to show up the Coco matchup in a different way with like 4 gut shots in the sideboard, which would also be good against humans. Not sure yet. Not sure yet. I mean, I'm not opposed to even having 4 gut shots in the main deck if I have to. Maybe gut shots time has come. So anyway, this is the deck, huh?
You need Simian Spear Guide for Gotcha.
My brother is pretty insistent that we should be casting gut shot by exiling Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah, so you don't have to use life.
Alright, moving on to round 1. So we lost the die roll. We're going to keep this hand though. It's not a problem. It's a hand that can catch up. We got Harbinger Tides. We got Tidebinder Mage. We're up against basic island. Alright, so that's fine too. If we're up against control, we can go Cavernous Souls into Silvergill Adept. So opt. I don't know what kind of control deck we're up against. So if we're hoping to play against control, we want to be up against blue-white control. That is definitely, I still think, in our favor. We've got a lot of grind to our deck. There's just very little spot removal. Jeskai control is difficult though because of our Phantasmal Image becomes a liability. Two blue permanents, but Minamo. So that makes me think, like, is this taking turns?
Phantasmal Image can't become Teferi.
No. Teferi's a planeswalker. Oh, there is a Teferi creature, though. So it can become that. Whoops. So our opponent plays Remand on the Silvergill Adept just to draw a card. Not sure what we're up against yet. Maybe it is just Jeskai Control that's just mana screwed right now. So far, it seems to be mono blue. Maybe it's Blue Moon. So if
maybe it's that guy from Minneapolis.
Maybe. Could be the guy from Minneapolis. Okay, let's attack for 2. I don't think I'm going to play a Lord. Well, we're at no risk. I'm going to play a Grizzly Bear. Tidebinder Mage, one way or another, no matter what we're up against, is like just a Grizzly Bear. Let's just get the Grizzly Bear out there, and then I'll figure out every... Like, I can play Harbinger, Merfolk Trickster, and the other Harbinger at flash speed. Okay, so we're up against taking turns. Okay, that's fine. We've got no main deck interaction, but we'll figure it out. So if knowing what we know now, I should have just went like Master of the Pearl Trident. And maybe this should have been a sign. It's just that some control decks sometimes like to play Minamo as a blue source. Well, maybe I'm getting control decks wrong, but there are blue decks that like to play Minamo to play around Boil. Okay, Serum Visions. Digging a lot, so they can't tap our creatures down right now. Okay, Mutavault. Okay, so we're going to draw an extra card every turn, which is great. Which is just great. Another thing that I really liked about Phantasmal Image is that it allowed us to use our brown mana a lot more effectively. So, what do we want to do here? We want to play... We're going to definitely attack... Play the Mutavault. Can we just try to win? Just force our opponent to... Because I can't interact with our opponent at all. There's like no counter spells in this deck, in the main deck. We have no interaction in the main deck. So maybe the correct... Well, I can't... No, I can actually. I can play Master of the Pearl Trident into Phantasmal Image. So let's do that. And we will just threaten to try to win the game by the next turn. Ideally, you just want the fastest clock. Put the pressure on.
Here comes Bolt.
Here comes... No, there should be no Bolt. There might be Remand. Okay, there's a Remand. And we are still threatening to win the game next turn. So they have to use some sort of... They have to Time Walk, they have to use Exhaustion, they have to start using resources here. Normally Dictate of Kruphix helps me, because there aren't that many... How can I put it? All it takes is one counter spell from me to cripple this deck. So they tap out to play Time Walk, counter. That's it, they lose. So if we're drawing 2 cards a turn, I have a better chance at finding just one counter spell. Like, the deck is super clunky. It's great against other decks that just can't interact with their Time Walks, but we can interact with those Time Walks. Okay, so Opt is good. That means they can't Time Warp this turn, but they can still play Exhaustion, which says like your opponent's creatures don't untap, their lands don't untap. Okay, so now they're in big trouble. Unless they have Cryptic Command, which I've never seen out of that deck. Oh, no, sorry. I have seen that out of the deck. It is a card. Okay, so we'll play our land. We'll play... Actually, do you know what? I should not have played the land. If they go Cryptic, bounce my Mutavault. I'm not happy about that. Okay, so let's go to beginning of combat step. We're just going to try to attack these 3 creatures. If they go Cryptic Command, I'll activate the Mutavault and attack.
Resignation in 3.
No, I don't think they're going to resign. They might. Maybe they just had a really bad hand. I mean, the deck is clunky. They could have 7 cards of just pure garbage.
2.
I think they have Cryptic Command, and they don't know exactly how to use it yet. This Mutavault is close to lethal by itself.
1. No. I was close, though.
Well, you're getting less close for each second that passes. So main deck as it is, not super amazing against taking turns. Oh, Giga Drowse. Okay, that's something I forgot about. So how many permanents are getting tapped? That one's getting tapped. I guess it's going to tap also the Mutavault. But we'll see what happens. Who knows? Who knows? I would say that because we're not in the driver's seat, that's for sure. They went first. They're drawing... Whoa. What's up with that? They tapped my island? Why would they do that? That's weird.
You scared of that island.
So I made a... I sort of just assumed they wouldn't do something like that, and I let this resolve... Uh-oh. Oh, no, I skipped through my attack step. So the next best thing I can think about is we play Phantasmal Image and copy a Lord of Atlantis and constantly put Lord pressure on the battlefield. Or, here, we'll copy this. Could get killed by Giga Drowse, but whatever. Tell you one card that's really good in this matchup. Curse Catcher. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Exile Ancestral Vision. It's really easy to resolve Ancestral Vision when you get like 2 extra turns. It's hard to find a middle ground, people. It's just hard to find a middle ground between how many, like, you want to go super creature heavy to compete with humans, which is a very big deck. You know, I saw my local metagame, it was like a quarter humans. I was so surprised how many people went to humans. I didn't play against any of them, but like there were just tons of humans decks. So Snapcaster Mage into Time Warp. Honestly, I don't know if I see maybe Snapcaster Mage is typical in this matchup, but I don't remember seeing it. This is like the second time I've played against this in a very short period of time. I think I played against this on stream.
Yeah, not too long ago, I remember. I was here.
I was there. Oh my god, red mana, what's that for?
Bolt.
That's the win condition now, they bolt you. Bolt, snap, bolt. Tap all your creatures. Get in there with Snapcaster Mage, take another turn. Gotta do what you gotta do. Times are tough for taking turns.
Alright, enough already with this.
Well, I'm gonna lose from now on.
Jeez.
You're right. They literally have Bolt in their deck.
Told you.
That is so weird.
You gotta get Simeon's Spirit Guide so that you can use Bolt. And Shock, too.
Just keep yielding through the turns. I can't do anything.
Grafdigger's Cage will come in handy.
It won't. Relic might, though.
Well, what? Snapcaster can't play it from the graveyard.
It's true, but it's just not a great card.
It's a wonderful card.
Or how important is holding up mana? It's hard to hold up mana against taking turns.
Should have been more aggro.
Interestingly enough, you know, if I had Tectonic Edge, that would be a huge beating to this deck. They need a lot of mana. Like, their game doesn't really start going until, like, they have, like, 1 billion mana.
Spreading Seas.
No, it doesn't change anything. They're a mono blue deck, basically.
Yeah, but if you
with a random Sulfur Falls and a random Steam
Bends,
Bends.
they can't use Bolt.
Howling Mine. Okay, yeah, that's another card I feel like helps the Merfolk deck.
Oh, is the Jackass done?
No. Is it my turn? It actually, or did they? Did they play Exhaustion? Wasn't even paying. Oh yeah, they played Exhaustion. So my creatures don't untap. Draw me cards. Go on, but let me play something. Ooh, actually probably should play the Mutavault. So it's gonna be very hard for my opponent to like fizzle here. It's possible.
Just let him piss away time.
Anything is possible. We're gonna yield. Take your turns. Take as many turns as you want. Hey, how is it explained through Magic the Gathering Online? So Lee J is on turn 10, I'm on turn 6. So it does count my opponent's turns. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Another exhaustion. Oh no. Yep. Oboro. This is an interesting card because if they play... Well, I guess it doesn't matter. If they play Giga Drowse into exhaustion, I can bounce this thing back to my hand. Let's play... I don't know. Oboro. I'm really just waiting to get an opportunity to untap my creatures, but I have a feeling that opportunity is not going to happen.
There it is again.
There it is again. Another bolt. So blue-red taking turns. Another bolt. All going to my face.
That's their weakness.
I guess so. And Snapcaster Mage. Maybe it's an improved taking turns deck. I don't know. Can I go to my discard step, please? Please. Oh my. We'll dump a Harbinger of the Tides. And I guess I'm going to have to try to play a Merfolk Trickster. Okay, with these on the stack, I'm going to play a Merfolk Trickster. So I'm wondering if how much of a taking turns deck this is. Maybe it's just a blue-red semi-control deck with Howling Mine and Dictative Crewfix. It's some sort of hybrid. Time Warp, after all, is extra land drops, extra attack steps, extra draw steps, all that stuff. Alright. So, like, our main deck is garbage, but our sideboard is actually quite good. Well, it's not perfect, but, you know, it will do. Temporal Trespass. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Temporal Trespass. Okay, so more reason to bring in Relic. Keep those cards stuck in their hand. Okay, I'm just going to concede. That's fine. They're not going to show me anything. They're just going to attack and I'm going to lose.
Nikachu MTG playmats are finally here, featuring the iconic Bunny of Waves. We've also teamed up with Dragon's Lair to bring you Master Your Waves and Bunny Guide. Pick up yours today at inkgaming.com by following the link in the description.
So, cards that we want. Relic. Is this going to do anything? Activate abilities? I don't think so. I don't actually know if this is going to do anything. So Chalice can help us. We can name Chalice on 1 to counter like Giga Drowse and Opt. But we can also name Chalice on 0 so that we can counter Ancestral Vision. Deprive, we need Deprive. Like I said, just one counter spell and they can just die. And Venser is great. We might have to play around Sweepers. As weird as that is. We're going to side out the Spreading Seizes. They're pretty awful. Side out the Tidebinder Mage. They're also pretty awful. Master of Waves. Do you know what? I like the fact that we could like Violent a Master Waves in a million tokens. And it's really hard to... And we'll threaten a victory there. I'm going to keep Mistcaller just so that we can have a clock. Like a really fast clock. A turn 1 play into a turn 2 play into turn, like, you know, if we threaten a turn 4 victory, that might be good. Phantasmal Image, you're probably good. I guess I will remove. I have to remove 2 cards. I'll remove 1 Phantasmal Image and a Harbinger of the Tides. Harbinger's not that great either. Actually, do you know what? Harbinger is not great at all. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry, Harbinger. Maybe one of you is great. Alright, I like it. Submit it. I don't really like the fact that we basically concede game 1. Well, not really. Like, I guess the problem is we don't have anything to do on turn 1, and we have no counter magic in the main deck versus this deck. But I'm pretty certain that against mono blue taking turns, we are super favored. Against this blue-red version, maybe we're more vulnerable. But it shouldn't be too bad.
There's the Chally.
We have a lot of things to do on turn 1, but on the play with 1 land, this is not good enough.
Goodbye, Chalice. I'll see you again.
Maybe, probably not. This hand's not ideal, but I don't want to mulligan it. Oh. Welcome back.
Yeah, put that bad spell on top.
I don't think it's mandatory. It doesn't interact with taking turns either.
So then why'd you bring it in?
Or so it doesn't interact with like Time Warp, but like I need a solid counter spell. That's what I want. I want a solid counter spell. Oh, there's the Ancestral Vision. Now we could use that Chalice badly.
Jeez Louise.
We'll start with. I guess I want to get underneath a remand. I don't know if they kept them all in, but the thing is, there's a lot of cards that I'm sure that they wish they could have that they don't have. There's Opt. But I mean, there's a lot of cards that they might have wanted to side out. There's a second Opt. Chalice would have been good against that too. The thing is, their curve is like really wide. It's more than just 1-drops. Oh, there's the Deprive. That's excellent. That's exactly what we want to see. I hope Phantasmal Image is not a huge liability. Because I forgot that Giga Drowse can just target and kill it. That's not good. That's not ideal. Well, man down, man down.
Bolts are doing their thing.
That they are. That they are. I think we can afford to take a turn to try to get Master of Waves in play, and I really hope that it resolves. Excellent. Because this, you can't bolt this. Or it's very hard to bolt this.
It's not impossible, but it's very difficult.
And this is like, if we can, like, once we get to turn 5, I'm going to start putting the shields up. But we're not at turn 5 yet. Like, it would have been really bad if they remanded this, but remand just seems like a card that they're probably going to side out for something else. Oboro is also good. Okay, what's the fastest clock? So I can't attack with Master of Waves. Or I could, but they could play Snapcaster Mage.
Just throw your tokens at them.
This is 8 damage. Okay, I will just attack with Lord of Atlantis on all the elementals. If they play Snapcaster Mage, I'm going to play Merfolk Trickster just to tap it. They could play Snapcaster Mage, try to Lightning Bolt the Lord of Atlantis. Whatever, okay. And then we'll have Deprive for the winning blow next turn. That is my plan. Or they just bolt Lord of Atlantis, okay. Take 6. Oh, a lot of lightning bolts. Take 4. Is this still lethal? Next turn? It is still lethal next turn. So I'll play Merfolk Trickster underneath all this. Underneath what could be a Cryptic Command counter magic. And I'll hold up Deprive for the Time Warp. They can draw a bunch of cards. They play Anger the Gods, I'll counter it. If they play... Like, I don't know if they run Anger the Gods, but it seems like a card that they might be running. I'm just under the impression that they sided out the counter magic. So if they Time Warp, they lose. If they Snapcaster Mage... Yeah, so... And this is what I was talking about. Oh, unless they have, like, Pact of Negation. That would be insane.
No.
So, but that's what I'm talking about. They go for that one shot, and then they're just dead. They can't... They're so vulnerable to a single piece of counter magic. Doesn't matter what it is. They go for that chance at Time Warp, and then boom, they're dead. And that's basically your plan. And it's unfortunate that we have only six copies of cards that we can use, like Vents. We have Venser and Deprive. That's about it. If we had Curse Catcher, it would be amazing, because that Curse Catcher is such a beating. I guess they have like more options against Curse Catcher, because it's because they have Lightning Bolt. But whatever. Oh, I forgot about that. Chalice on 1 hits Lightning Bolt. Okay. Okay. So we can go... Chalice on 1 is more valuable than I thought. So it hits Opt, Serum Visions, and Lightning Bolt. It is a worthy card on 1. Worthy.
You should just jam 4 of them in the deck at all times.
Who are you, M. Hayashi? Look what we have here. I'll keep this. Okay, so they played Ancestral Vision instead. But why did they tap a blue? Oh yeah, it costs 1 blue.
Well, you rolled out to win.
Unfortunately, though, the turn that I play Master of Waves is also the turn that they can get their 5th land out. So they didn't play any 1-mana spells yet.
Chalice on 5.
Okay, I'm just going to try to curve out. At the right moment, we're going to play Chalice on 0, though. Remand! Oh, you do have it. Okay.
Well, at least he pissed it away for nothing.
Okay, you can go. We're going to keep an eye on this Ancestral Vision, though. When it gets close to 0, we're going to cast Chalice of the Void for 0. And boy, are they going to feel awkward. I could try to play it on 1. Second Deprive. Oh, we don't have a second land, though. That's unfortunate. Master Waves, you're clunky here. You're clunky. And pass. Oh, that's gonna be that. Like that's now. That's what I'm talking about. How that is going to benefit us, benefit us more than them. Uh-oh. That's not good news. A second thing in the ice. So they've changed strategies. It seems.
Could Chalice on 2 stop those things?
Yeah, it could. But I'm gonna play Chalice on 0. So that's gonna counter their Ancestral Vision. This is gonna be a very interesting game now. I really needed to draw 1 land to have a very safe turn. But I didn't draw that land. I guess we should play Silvergill Adept. If they untap and play like Time Warp, we're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. And it would be really nice if we had a flash creature in hand. We don't have that either.
So just pass the turn. Hold up Deprive.
They go for Time Warp. But then I'm still in trouble because I have to return a land to my hand. I need a land on the battlefield right now. Okay, let's play Silvergill Adept. Let's risk it. Any land helps. Or I just have to hope that my opponent isn't playing with Time Warp. Maybe they just like do what they're like, to hell with all this garbage. Let's side it all out.
There it is.
There's the land. So
there's the tasty boy.
There's the tasty boy. Okay, we're just gonna pass. We're not in a beautiful situation. Surprise. Oh, it does trigger a thing in the ice, though. So these things are going to flip eventually. Because they're going to draw like a million cards a turn. There's like no way it doesn't flip. Maybe we can stabilize with Master Waves? I'm not sure. Maybe they're going to do stuff at my turn? Okay, we draw land. Hitting our land drops every turn is going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot. Okay.
Make 2 copies of Lord of Atlantis. Or at least 1 copy.
I'll make 1 copy. 1 copy is better than no copies. And in theory, this does win the game. If they have no interaction. Still going to hold up Deprive for a time warp. So fortunately, none of these things in the ices can block my creatures. That's impossible.
Oh yeah, Island Walk.
No, what the thing is, okay, so they can block them right now, but if they flip, they cannot block them. Okay, what is it doing? It's going to tap all my land. That's what you want to do? Okay, let these resolve. What are these doing? 1 land. Okay, it's going to get the replicate. It's going after all my lands. Can't play anything at instant speed. No, I don't want to lose to this stupid thing. So I can deprive. Did I play my land drop for the turn? I'm pretty sure I did.
Yes.
But what I can do is I can try to counter one of these. It's not really going to do anything if I do that. Giga Drowse is pretty good in this deck. Giga Drowse is pretty good in this deck. I don't have anything to do at flash speed either. You know what's a really good card in this matchup? Ether Vial. It's really good in this matchup. Okay, take 3. Take 3 instead. So we have to, again, hope that we do not face a, what's it called? Time warp, but I'm pretty certain we're going to face a time warp. They're going to hit us for 14, and then I guess we're just going to lose. Ooh. So if anyone's curious about Giga Drowse and Chalice of the Void, Chalice of the Void would counter the first one, but the copies it would not counter. So I'm certain there are some people who would think like, oh, you should have it Chalice on 1 because it will counter Giga Drowse's other copies. No, it won't. Chalice only counters things that are cast, but not anything that is put directly on the stack. And but copies just go directly on the stack. You make a copy. So I believe we just lose here. Well, pretty sad start. I don't think this particular deck is meant to beat something like this, though. I don't know how popular this is in your metagame. And that's the difficulty that I'm having with Merfolk Online, is that there's so many different decks. I'm really hurting to find like a strategy that perfectly works. So we are going to lose to this thing. They're just going to untap and win.
Hitting a Deprive on the first Giga Drowse wouldn't affect the copies?
Yeah, it does not affect it. They just get the copies no matter what. Well, that's how it is. I don't know. Do you know what? I guess I'm just happy that we did not play against Light Counters Company. I'd rather lose to this than that. So now we're going to do our lesson for today. And that lesson would be...
More Chalice.
More Chalice? I don't think the more Chalice helps. You can never have too many turns. You know, I think one of the most feared cards in Commander is like what Lighthouse Chronologist.
Who plays Commander?
Well, apparently a billion people.
Do they have tournaments for it?
They do.
Big cash prizes?
No.
Who plays Commander?
There we go. Got a new board here. I heard everyone there's people were asking, where did the board go? Where did the board go? Well, the board was really small. I didn't even know if anyone even wanted the board. So the board is back. A lot of people asked about the board, and the board is better than ever. Got a new beautiful board. I think it's going to show up on screen a lot more clear, so that's that. We're going to thank all my patrons supporting me on Patreon. We're also going to thank themanabase.com for being our sponsor. This has been Nikachu and his brother playing Merfolk in Modern.